On a frigid February dawn in 2020, the quiet of Elmwood Lane in Parkersburg, West Virginia, shattered with the arrival of 7 unmarked police vehicles. Officers in tactical gear surrounded a modest ranch-style house, their breath visible in the icy air. Inside, 79-year-old Edward Malinowski, a retired librarian, widower, and esteemed community mentor, was brewing his morning tea, a ritual unchanged for decades. At 7:14 a.m., a sharp knock interrupted the stillness. Edward Malinowski, West Virginia State Police. You're under arrest for the 1972 murder of Emily Whitaker. The elderly man's hand steadied his teacup, his expression unervingly calm, as if he'd been anticipating this reckoning for nearly half a century. April 8, 1972. Sunlight spilled across the small Alderson College campus in Wood County. Sarah Thompson, a junior studying literature, tapped on her friend Emily's dorm room door, expecting their usual Saturday coffee meetup. She never missed our mornings, Sarah later told investigators. When she didn't show for her poetry seminar, I felt a knot in my stomach. Campus security discovered 21-year-old Emily Whitaker lifeless on her dorm room floor, her own belt tightened around her neck. An open novel lay on her desk, a pen still resting in its margin, a teacup cooling nearby. No forced entry, no signs of a struggle, just a promising young life snuffed out without warning. For 48 years, her killer lived just miles away, attending charity events where Emily's family mourned publicly, reading articles about the case's anniversaries, and watching as Emily's brother became a defense attorney, fueled by the unresolved tragedy. This murderer volunteered at the local library, served on the town's historical society, and was honored as Volunteer of the Year in 1995. He mailed holiday greetings to detectives who once questioned him as a routine witness, his name long since cleared. For nearly 5 decades, he cloaked himself in respectability, harboring Wood County's darkest secret. How did this community cornerstone escape justice for so long? What breakthrough finally led authorities to his doorstep? And most chillingly, how many lives crossed paths with a predator hiding in plain sight? Pause now to join our community of truth seekers. Follow us for gripping crime stories that uncover the details others overlook. Stay with us as we unravel this haunting tale of justice delayed. Emily Jane Whitaker was born on March 3, 1950, to Margaret and Thomas Whitaker in Parkersburg. The middle child of 4, Emily, known as Em to her loved ones, was warm, inquisitive, and fiercely dedicated. Her father ran a small hardware store, while her mother worked as a seamstress from their cozy home on River Road. Emily's knack for poetry and history shone early, setting her apart in an era when women's ambitions were often curtailed. Her high school yearbook declared her intent to study at Alderson College and become a historian, a bold dream for a working-class girl in 1960s West Virginia. She was brilliant but never flaunted it, her older brother, James, recalled in a 2016 interview. She'd sit with me, explaining history through stories, making it feel alive. That was Em, always inspiring. Graduating as salutatorian from Parkersburg High in 1968, Emily was the first in her family to attend college, enrolling at Alderson's main campus before transferring to its Wood County branch for its intimate academic setting. By 1972, she thrived, earning praise for her essays on Appalachian history. Living alone in Willow Hall after her roommate left mid-semester, she cherished the solitude. The Alderson campus, a cluster of ivy-covered buildings nestled in the Ohio River Valley, housed just 150 students, a close-knit haven where Emily felt a home. Parkersburg, with its 4,000 residents, was a town where neighbors trusted neighbors, and serious crime was unheard of. We dealt with petty theft, maybe a bar scuffle, said retired Sheriff Daniel Boone. Murder? That wasn't our world. Emily worked part-time at the campus archive, joined the Historical Society, and volunteered at a local nursing home. Her journal, later recovered, revealed a disciplined student planning her future with care. On April 7, 1972, her last day, she followed her routine. A 9 a.m. history lecture, lunch with Sarah at noon, and a shift at the archive until 4 p.m. She seemed her usual self, Sarah told police, discussing a research paper on colonial trade routes. At 5:30 p.m., Emily dined alone in the cafeteria, reading. By 7 p.m., she checked out a biography from the archive. At 9:45 p.m., she called her parents, planning a visit for her mother's birthday. Her final journal entry, penned near midnight, read, "Long day, but progress on paper. Need to revise thesis. Mail mom's card tomorrow. Internship apps due soon." By 9:15 a.m. the next morning, Emily was dead. In those 9 hours between midnight and discovery, a killer entered her world. What happened in Willow Hall remains the enigma that tormented detectives for decades. Emily's life, her dreams, her diligence, her connections, became vital clues as investigators sought to unravel not just her death, but who could target a young woman with no enemies. Where are you joining us from today? Whether near Parkersburg or across the globe, crime stories like Emily's bind us in our quest for truth. Share your location below as we dive deeper into this chilling mystery. At 9:19 a.m. on April 8, 1972, campus guard Michael Reed radioed the Wood County Sheriff's Office with a rare code, 10-29, possible homicide, Willow Hall, room 108. This call launched West Virginia's most enduring murder investigation. Sarah Thompson's morning began with irritation when Emily missed their coffee date, escalating to dread when she skipped class. "I pounded on her door," Sarah told police. No answer, just silence. That was an M. With resident advisor Laura Bennett, Sarah entered the locked room using a master key. Sarah's scream froze me. Laura later testified. "I saw Emily on the floor and everything stopped." Reed secured the scene, noting Emily's body between her bed and desk, belt marks on her neck, and no signs of disturbance. Sheriff Samuel Carter and Detective John Ramsey arrived by 9:50 a.m., joined by Coroner Dr. Evelyn Hart. By 11 a.m., the campus buzzed with police as shock rippled through the community. The crime scene raised immediate questions. No forced entry. Room tidy except near the body, Ramsey noted. A second teacup on the desk, recently used, hinted Emily knew her killer, trusting them enough for a late-night chat. Dr. Hart estimated death between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., with Emily in casual clothes, suggesting she wasn't preparing for bed. The belt was pulled tight from behind, Hart reported. Death was quick, with minimal resistance. Defensive bruises and a broken nail suggested a brief struggle. The locked door, with Emily's key in her pocket, puzzled investigators. Either the killer had a key, unlikely, or they locked the door and left via the window, Ramsey theorized. Yet, the window showed no tampering, and a 3-story drop seemed improbable. News spread rapidly, halting campus life. Classes were canceled, parents flooded phone lines, and Parkersburg's tight-knit community reeled. Businesses shuttered, churches held vigils, and the mayor vowed justice. Evidence collection was meticulous. Fingerprints on the teacup, carpet fibers, and skin under Emily's nails. Every item is potential evidence, Sheriff Carter told reporters. By March 9th, a timeline emerged. 7 p.m., Emily borrowed a book. 8 p.m., she studied in the common room. 9:45 p.m., she called her parents. 10:30 p.m., a neighbor heard a tea kettle. 11:15 p.m., muffled voices were reported. The teacup, wiped clean except for Emily's prints, suggested premeditation. The investigation focused on identifying her late-night visitor, but no one admitted to being there, leaving detectives to suspect a trusted acquaintance or a cunning stranger. The case stalled as leads fizzled. Emily's ex-boyfriend, Mark Daniels, was cleared by a solid alibi. A janitor seen near her room was hospitalized during the murder window. Her history professor, questioned for favoritism, had no forensic ties. By May 1972, 52 suspects were cleared. Evidence preservation, limited by 1970s technology, relied on paper bags and handwritten logs, risking degradation. Yet, Detective Ramsey's rigorous protocols ensured the skin sample survival. By summer, media coverage waned, and the case went cold, devastating the Whitakers. Margaret stopped sewing. Thomas took leave, and James, Emily's brother, began documenting every lead in notebooks that spanned 15 volumes by his 1996 death. Margaret founded Family for Truth in 1974, advocating for evidence preservation and cold case funding. James pursued law, becoming a defender of the accused, driven by Emily's injustice. The case, reviewed annually by Ramsey until his 1993 retirement, moved from active files to archives, surviving a 1998 flood due to a deputy's care. Anniversaries brought media spikes: 1977, 1982, 1992, each fading without answers. DNA testing in 1999 failed due to immature technology, but evidence was repackaged for future advances. By 2012, Alderson's campus had merged with its main branch, and Willow Hall was razed, yet Emily's story persisted in local lore. In 2013, the FBI's Cody's upgrade and genetic genealogy breakthroughs, like the Golden State Killer case, reignited hope. Detective Rachel Morgan, assigned in 2016, digitized the case files, securing funding for advanced DNA testing in 2020. Skin samples, sent to Gentech Labs, yielded a degraded profile amplified for analysis. By April 2020, genealogists traced 14 distant relatives, building a 2,100-person family tree. Filters, male, 18 to 40 in 1972, Parkersburg resident, narrowed it to 6 names, including Edward Malinowski, a 79-year-old librarian interviewed in 1972 as Emily's occasional tutor. His alibi, corroborated by his late wife, had dismissed him. Covert DNA from a discarded coffee cup confirmed a 99.9997% match to the crime scene. Malinowski's life shocked investigators. A librarian since 1975, he led book drives, served on the Historical Society, and mentored youth. He attended Emily's memorial, donated to her scholarship, and sat on a 1986 safety panel with Margaret Whitaker. His home held a hidden archive of case clippings and the missing teacup, stashed in a concealed drawer. He didn't just hide, he became untouchable, said forensic psychologist Dr. Lila Harper. On February 15, 2020, police arrested Malinowski. He admitted nothing, telling his son only, "Call Lawyer Hayes. It's about the Whitaker case." News shattered Parkersburg, with former men's reeling at his March 2020 arraignment. Malinowski pleaded not guilty, but a plea deal followed, admitting first-degree murder for life without parole. Margaret Whitaker, 90, learned of the arrest days before her death, saying, "I knew truth would come." The sentencing, packed with onlookers, saw James Whitaker Jr. speak of inherited loss. Malinowski, frail at 79, offered no defense, stating, "I lived 2 lives, one public, one secret. I can't undo Emily's death." Sentenced to life, he died in prison months later. Emily's case reshaped forensics, inspiring training, memorials, and advocacy. Share your thoughts. How did Malinowski evade justice so long? Was it cunning, systemic flaws, or chance? Follow us for more stories of truth uncovered, where science and persistence rewrite history's darkest chapters.